If I were to only be giving 5 pieces of chicken advice, these are the top 5 pieces of chicken advice I would give to anyone, regardless of if you have 5 chickens or 500 chickens. So let's begin. Let's first start off with a pretty obvious one. You should build your chicken coop in a way that it prevents as many predators from entering as possible. So what I want you to do for this piece of information is I want you to go online and search what animals live in your local wildlife and see how many of them attack your chickens. So for me, I'm in northern Connecticut, right? Over here on the hills, we have a ton of different predators ranging from fisher cats to coyotes and bobcats. We have a lot of different predators out here. So with all that in mind, we want to build a chicken coop that's secure, strong, and has every single predator in mind. You should do the same thing. So let's just say you're from Florida, right? I don't know what they have down there, but maybe you could inform me with a couple things. I bet they have like coyotes or fisher cats or bobcats, just similar to us up here. So what I would do is I would build your chicken coop accordingly. And also, if you live in like more suburban setting, then obviously you don't have to worry about as many, but I would still build with all that in mind, because even when I used to live down in southern Connecticut back in like 2017, if we were to own chickens, which we would at some point if we continued to live down there, we've had coyotes go through our yard and it was fenced in. So I would probably still build a chicken coop similar to this degree. You know, you'd rather be safe than sorry with chickens, because it's always a matter of time for that. The second piece of advice I would give to everyone, and this applies to every single chicken yard regardless of your size, it is to provide at least one area of shelter from aerial predators, so predators like hawks. We've recently been dealing with a ton of issues with this broad-winged hawk, which you might have saw the short I posted last night about it. It was a nightmare to deal with him, and it was quite the graphic scene too. But also, this chicken yard has a ton of areas of security. For one, they have underneath here, but when the snow clears out, it's going to look a whole lot better for them to hide underneath that. But mainly underneath this chicken coop here. It's a disaster because we're dealing with snowmelt over here in New England, but at the same time, it does provide a layer of protection from aerial predators, because a hawk, they're always like opportunistic predators. So if they see a chicken that's just out in the open and is too stupid to run away, it's gonna strike. Same thing when it sees something in the... And I've seen hawks carrying away snakes, like large snakes out here before. So seriously, they will strike at anything when they see that they're vulnerable. So with that in mind, provide at least one area of shelter in your chicken yard. Most people don't have mobile chicken coops, but you can click over here on the top right corner of your screen if you want to see a video reviewing this chicken coop. So at least provide an area of shelter that has an overhang like this. So if they didn't have this chicken coop, this would be a perfect area for them to hide, because just look at this. It has enough clearance for the chickens to get under there. Like if I was a chicken, I'd easily be able to fit in here. Most chickens are like around a foot tall. There's at least 14 inches of clearance there. Doesn't look like it on camera, but trust me, I've done the measurements there. And there's a ton of other things in this yard too that'll help prevent them too. A ton of areas for them to hide out. This is really essential. I'm going to be saving the most important one for last, obviously, but I do want to get one that's really important out of the way as well, somewhere in the middle of the video like right now. Don't put your feed in water in the chicken coop unless there's snow on the ground. And my chickens have grown tolerance to the snow. There's like 5 inches, well, not really anymore, but at one point this week there was like 6-7 inches of snow on the ground from a ton of winter storms that have recently passed through here, and the chickens didn't want to go outside. That is the only case, or if the ground is so bad outside that you don't want them going outside, that you should be keeping your feed and water in the coop. In all other circumstances, this is just going to cause a mess, and as soon as you leave it out there, in a week, you'll realize just how clean the coop is, and the only thing you really have to do in there is just take out the shavings instead of doing the whole deep cleaning. When we used to keep it in there, we'd have to clean a coop twice a week. Nowadays, we only clean it every Wednesday. So it's quite an impressive feat that we pulled off here just by simply leaving their feed and water outside. And also, if you're wondering, like, they need to drink water, that's what the automatic coop door is for. And also, they don't need to drink in the middle of the night. Chickens aren't like us. They're not going to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, just decide to go head downstairs and go grab some water. I've done that before, but chickens, most of the time, they're not going to do that. They're not going to wake up and be thirsty at 3 a.m. They're going to sleep through the whole night. So it's okay. As long as you have an automatic door, this works the best. Or if you wake up really early like I do, like I'm up at 5:15, I could easily get out here in the summer months, open up the door and give them some water, but the automatic door does that for us. And my fourth piece of advice is to always have an automatic coop door for your chicken coop. The reason? To help prevent you from waking up early, especially in the summer. In 2020, when we were still brand new to owning chickens, one big mistake we made was letting them out at like 9:30 to 10 a.m. because we didn't have a door for them yet. That's not a good idea. Chickens need to get outside early to get those bugs into their system and to lay more efficiently. And like they're usually outside after like 8 a.m. And usually for the most part, chickens are gonna be outside past like 5:45, 5:50 a.m. in the summer months. So they want to go out there, they want to take all the grass and all the early morning bugs, because there's a saying, with the early bird gets the worm, and the chickens need to get that worm too, you know? So always install an automatic door. It also scratches something off your morning to-do list. You don't have to let them out anymore. You can just bring them the water, bring them the food, and they'll all set to go. And it won't be a big hassle every single morning to have to do that. That's one thing I really love about my automatic door. This is not sponsored, by the way, but in case you're wondering which door we have here, this is it right here. And I said I'd save the most important one for last, and I was not lying when I said that. This is the most important tip. Keep a balance in your flock. You might be wondering, what am I referring to in the balance? Well, if you saw the thumbnail, or maybe one of them if I'm doing a test on it, it says the golden balance of 10 on 1. What does that mean? You might have clicked this video being like, what is this guy talking about? What am I talking about? Well, it's actually quite simple. 10 refers to hens and 1 refers to roosters. That is what I like to call the golden balance in a small backyard flock. Hens and roosters, you don't want to have a high concentration of roosters to hens. You need to have at least 91% hens and 9% roosters to keep a nice balance, because if that number drops significantly, like the balance between hens and roosters gets completely thrown out of the way, there's going to be a fighting issue. Your roosters are going to be murdering each other. And I speak from experience when I say that. My roosters were literally mauling each other every day when we had 3-4 roosters in the farm flock at one point. It was a terrifying experience, so thankfully we sold them as soon as possible, and we now, and up until, you know, like July, we had Waldo, and he was the perfect rooster. We had shaving cream and rotisserie chicken. This is a story you've likely heard many times, so I'm not gonna, you know, like continue to talk about it that much more, but it's a really important lesson. Keep balances in your chicken flock. Everything in chicken's life is about balancing everything properly, and chickens need that perfect balance between hens and roosters, especially to keep the safety of the hens in mind. But if you want to see a full guide on chickens with advice like this and so much more, it's a whole hour. You can skim through it, take a ton of notes there. It's right there on the center of the screen. I'll see you guys in that video. Goodbye, everyone, and be sure to like and subscribe on your way out. Can't forget about that.